Every episode on Thatha Wena is an interesting journey with individuals joining us in studio, obviously, to discuss topics that matter, topics that bring about conversations and also provoke thoughts.
On this particular episode, we speak about 6 things that our community needs. Could it be cleanliness, maybe education, or
food?
It could be anything.
And later on in the show, we're going to be joined by other individuals touching on 6 things that they think our community needs, of course, in their own opinion.
We wrap up with a segment called What Grinds My Gears, where we address social ills that we as individuals could curb.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that one. But first, she is an award-winning motivational speaker. She's a broadcaster. She's a poet. She is just so much. Her name is Soneni Gwizi. This individual, the first time I met them, they were interviewing me. That's years back. And fast forward, like today, we are going to talk to them. They're a motivational speaker, an activist, a poet, a citizen, and above all, a woman. Welcome, Thandega. Should I call you Thandega, actually?
Call me Thandega. Thandega means lovable.
But everybody knows you as Soneni Gwizi.
That's my birth name.
That's your birth
But
name.
I prefer Thandega.
Why Thandega?
Thandega is a name that I was given by my radio guest. After doing the interview, and he said to me, listen, you are just so lovable. Let's remove the name Soneni. So I was like, wow, I love it. So yeah, I became Thandega.
Thank you for joining us on Thatha Wena.
And thank you for inviting me as well.
Earlier, we asked you 6 things that our community needs. And the first thing that you put right at the very top was children need to be the priority all the time. Why that?
Absolutely. This will sound like it's a cliche. We always say children are the future of any nation, but it's very true. If we do not take care of our children, we do not educate them, we do not make sure that they live a life that when they become future leaders, they're able to look after us, our community, and our nation. So it's important that children need to be looked after. They are one of the most important beings that I love being around with.
So do you do a lot of work with children also?
I work with children, not directly, but let me tell you something about children. What I love about children, children are very innocent. Children will come to you and tell you directly and say, Auntie, what is wrong with you? But an adult will look at you and they will not even say anything, but they'll have so many questions. One thing I like about children, they're open-minded. And the other thing is children, you can teach them, and that teaching never departs from them. Unlike adults that will agree with you, but then they will not do that. Policymakers, absolutely. Yeah. Policymakers are adults. And if you look at issues of policy, they're not being changed because adults think they know it all.
And then I also think it's high time we start investing in children because children are the future. But then I also am not a big fan of sort of like putting children in a box and telling kids what to do. I like the fact that they are liberal in their thinking. But then do you feel maybe also as a society we try by all means to just put them back in the box?
The reason why it's like that is because if you don't know who you are yourself, you can never impact anything to a child. But if you're a person that is liberated and you're so open-minded, when you come to children, you allow them to be. So you'll find out that a lot of people were raised up in a very, very tense environment, so they tend to pass that intensity to their children. Yet it shouldn't be like that.
So they make decisions for children now, and then the kids grow up with decisions that haven't been made for them.
Absolutely.
Like all the time you see the girl child being given a door, but when that girl child starts being interested in mechanics, we as adults start questioning those things. Does it mean then we are sort of like making decisions for the kid to dream of what we dream of or what we wanted?
Yeah. If you've never succeeded in something, then you expect your child to do that. But instead, let your child be. Let them identify themselves. If they want to go into mechanic, let them. If they want to be a camera person, let them be a camera person. It doesn't mean that because they are a woman, it's a girl child, they don't have to do a particular job or a particular thing. Of course, yes, you have to watch out things like safety and teach them about safety of things. Yes, you cannot go to a camera wearing a short skirt.
And one aspect that you mentioned was issues of shelter. So let's just maybe jump straight into that.
Shelter is very important because if you do not have a home or you don't have a place of your own, it's difficult to have an identity as a child or as a grown-up person. So it's important that every person should at least have some proper housing where they should come from. No one was born under a tree or under a bridge. You go and stay there because you've got no option. So that becomes your home.
But I mean, some people have options because there's some children that run away, some teenagers that run away from home, and then they prefer to be there.
It's not a kind option for them. The reason why they run away from, because it's a psychological thing. The child runs away from home. It's either they've been abused or something has happened to that child, or that child cannot just adjust or adapt to that home environment. So what do? They run away and they go and stay under the bridge. We all know that no human being should stay under a bridge.
No one.
Even an animal.
Even
an animal, you can't let it stay under a bridge. So what should be under the bridge is water.
Definitely.
Yeah. So water is the only thing that can stay under a bridge, not a human being.
How then do we eliminate this problem? Because even in the streets of Bulawayo right now, in Zimbabwe, we have this problem of, would call them street kids. But then is that even the right term to call individuals that do not have a place to call home?
You know what? I'm the kind of a person that never pushes a problem to anyone, but it's everybody's problem. The social welfare, the communities, the families, and everyone. We should all hold hands and work together and make sure that we get these children out of the street. It's difficult because you also need psychologists to come and work with the children. You'll need teachers that will come and work with these children. You need families that will come and identify and take these children back. So it's a lot of a mess that needs to be put together by everybody. Do you know that there are also children with disabilities that stay under a bridge? And sometimes when you talk about street kids, we think of ableist children alone. But there are also children or families that are disabled that are homeless and they have no shelter. We have seen them in Bulawayo where they just move anyway. And that is not acceptable. It shouldn't be there because every human being should have a place of belonging.
Definitely.
You should have a place of stay because what's going to happen to the future of that child? The mother is going to die or that child is going to grow up and then they become, what is Abantu, Ubuntu, what are we doing about it? The city fathers, what are they doing? The social welfare, what are they doing? You and I, what are we doing? Yeah, so the best thing that we can do is we try and get them out, find their families. I need to play a part, you need to play a part, and everybody needs to play a part.
I think the community at large, first and foremost, we need to have the Ubuntu in us, you know, as a concept. People need to belong. Like we say, umuntu ngabantu. So any society that does not have a sense of belonging is a lost society or is a lost community. So for me, I think the inward need is very important, which is Ubuntu, which connotes values, which connotes, you know, behavior and other values that make a community.
Welcome back, and you're still watching Thatha Wena. Earlier you spoke of children, and then there's also this issue that just came to mind as we were taking the commercial break, of families that abandon their kids. So some believe that umntwana ulethi sinyama endlini, umntwana une condition enje, so ulethi sinyama. So at the end of it all, they go and abandon the kid in Mutare, and the family is from Victoria Falls or is from Bulawayo. What do we have to do? Where is our responsibility as a community?
It has to start from family level. Again, is in a family structure we have omalume, okulu, obabomncane, you know, even the neighbors, they contribute a lot. And I believe that a family should take interest. If they see that John is no longer a part of the family, they should inquire and find out what has happened to John. It's been 3 weeks we haven't seen John, and try and do something. You have the police that also play a part in it. Go and report it. This child has been missing and we don't have a proper explanation why this child just disappeared from Mother Earth. And then you also have school teachers. If you haven't seen a child that hasn't reported in your class for more than 3 days, you should be concerned, where you need to approach the families, or if you can't, then approach the social welfare. In every school, I want to believe that there is a social welfare desk where you need to go and talk to them and look at those little signs. You find out kids that are abused or children that are not accepted at home, and talk to social workers, and talk. Also, the church plays a big role.
It does.
So approach your pastors, if they're good pastors, and
a lot of bad pastors.
and talk to them about it. And at the end of the day, you'll find out that if we all play our parts, these kids can be saved from abuse.
No, but then we're living in a society where everyone feels, no, it's not my baby. I mean, we had, back then, I think there was Ubuntu was still very much strong. But right now, when unges market on you don't get in there because you're saying it's not your problem. So, I mean, still, we're in that space. Do you think actually people would do that to inquire about a missing kid?
I would do that.
You would?
I would go. As tiny as I am and as a giant as I am, I would go and find out and inquire. And I encourage everyone to do the same, that if you see that a child has been abused, why don't you go for help? Because you will never know that that child could be the next policy maker that will assist you one day when you're old.
Is it not also an issue of being educated? Because sometimes umntwana might be just mentally disturbed, and then as a family we say, because we don't understand. So what's our responsibility in terms of getting more informed as a people in our communities, in our spaces?
That will take from the root where people do not accept disabilities. That is under a silent disability. A silent disability is someone that will look perfectly like you. And if I look at you, I wouldn't,
Just as beautiful as perfect.
I wouldn't know that Gilmore has a silent condition. So therefore, if people begin to embrace different disabilities and not stigma people because they are mental ill or because they have epilepsy or because they have a heart problem, and then they think they become a waste. It's not that. But we should look at an individual as someone that is purposeful, someone that can contribute to your country, contribute to your community, and make a better place.
You know, sometimes as people, because we have assumptions that we don't know much, we always want to be politically correct. And I mean, with your experience being an activist, how have you handled this?
I have a tough skin. That's the big advantage of me. I have a tough skin. I'm open-minded. I let offenses just go through my fingers, and I don't take it personally, because at the end of the day, it's their own opinion and it's not a fact. I always say people need to base things on fact.
Yes.
If it's a fact, then I will agree with you. But if it's an accusation or discrimination that is based on an opinion, then it's absolutely wrong. Like, let's look at women with disabilities.
Yes.
A lot of, and men, okay. People don't think that they have sex. So if you see Uma Kumalo in a wheelchair and she has a child, how do you think the child came?
They had sex.
Exactly. And if you look in the street of Zimbabwe, you see so many blind people with children.
Yes.
How do you think those children came?
Because they're just as human as
Mary
we
and
are.
Joseph. Don't happen in the Bible.
No.
So such things that people need to, they don't need to be blind to things, but they need to face reality, to say these things are there, and let's just live as a community and accept things.
But it's not a two-way also, because maybe I might be looking at you and admiring you, like, wow, I love your neck piece. And then you might take it as an offense, or you translate it in a different way.
Very correct. One of the things that I've also learned working with people with disabilities is that they are not 100% confident.
Okay.
And the reason why is because the way they've been brought up. If you bring up a child and you tell a child, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, they'll grow up being what? Stupid. So if you tell a child with a disability, I stay at home, you are staying at home. At the end of the day, what are you inputting on that person? You're taking away the confidence, and the human being inside them dies slowly and slowly and slowly, and they cannot face the world. So you find that that's what has eaten people with disabilities. They don't have confidence. Reason why they have no confidence is because they are not exposed to a lot of things. I'm at an advantage. I have traveled.
You have.
Yeah, I've traveled the world. I've traveled to Zimbabwe, and I've been to places.
Busy winning awards overseas.
Exactly, and I've won awards, and I have also been given opportunities. Let's not stop people at grade 7 and say they're educated.
Yes.
It needs to go further than that. And particular people with disabilities. Let's not say as far as they can write and read, it's okay. No, let's give them that opportunities. You'll find out that the more they get educated, the more they become, what's the word that I want? They contribute to society.
And emancipating.
Whether you are disabled or non-disabled, it liberates you, it opens your mind, it gives you the authority, it gives you the power. I constantly tell people that I make things move because I'm educated.
Yes.
If I wasn't, no one would listen to me. But because I've had the education, people can actually listen to what I say.
We need to prioritize our families. We need to structure our families. We need to know what our families need to do to become better families.
What are your views on with disability being mainstreamed in education?
I have two thoughts on this one. Number one, it's very good. Secondly, there's a lot of things that need to be changed before children are accepted into normal schools.
All right.
You will start from the classrooms are not disability friendly. And secondly, teacher ratio is way too much. And thirdly, also, disabilities come in different forms. You cannot mix someone with a physical condition with someone with a mental condition and someone with visual, then you have an ableist child. Then there's also the issue of parents. There are some parents that do not want their children to be among disabled people. So that's another issue as well.
That's where the issue of education then comes in. Parents need to be educated. Our community needs to be educated.
It needs to be educated. But you find out that children that go to what we call normal schools, they do well. And then those that have been put in institutions really don't go that far. It's because of the system that is there. But if let's say you and I are in the same class, you will challenge me to do better, and I will challenge you to do better. But if you also have children that are of the same disabilities, I think it also tends to slow down children as well. But at the same time, it does a lot again because they gain confidence. It can be done.
And I also feel even our planning per se, our town planning or whatever, the planning that we do, and even the constructions, they were never thought of big time.
They were never thought of. Just the other day, I went to this building and I stayed. And later on, the elevator wasn't working. So I had to walk 7 floors down.
Is it the building that everybody knows that you go?
No, this one. But you know what? There's a humor out of it. I said, you know what? It's okay. I can walk down.
You were working out, Soneni.
Yes, I did. And now I have the most fine thighs that you can wish for. Because after that, I had to go for massage and then I had to go for physio. But, at the end of the day, you always look at positive things that come out of a negative situation. But our buildings in Zimbabwe need to be looked at. Absolutely, yeah.
Our buildings are not user-friendly to people living with a disability. And it's one thing that you actually mentioned also, that infrastructure. Why?
Infrastructure is very important. I'll look at a broad aspect of it. It's an expense to always ask someone to come and push you around. It's an expense to always look for plan B, yet you can do it by yourself. You look at buildings, they still do not have stairs or anything like that. They have steps, there are no ramps, yet it doesn't cost you much to put a ramp. It doesn't really cost you much. Yeah.
So what would you suggest to make, to us as individuals, to make life more inclusive?
All right. One thing I like about inclusive is not only specific for people with disabilities, but inclusive will cater for everyone within your community. For example, I believe that they should have a standard. If you look at our local shops, they should have a standard that they have an in-house tailor that sits there. That if someone that is pretty slim, they buy something, they can actually alter that to their size. And if there's someone that is a bit big, they can also alter that. And if someone with a disability comes in and they also want it to be altered, then they can do that. So I would suggest that if all our retailers would do that, or our shops would do that, and please, can they have ramps as well?
Yes.
If our buildings are not friendly, and if our hotels are not friendly, I mean, there's one thing that I always complain about is when I travel and I go into a hotel, everything is way up in heaven. The towels and everything, but I want everything to be at my reach so that I don't have to be calling reception. Please ask someone to come and put down the towels. So there are little things that you might not consider to be important, yet is important. The furniture, the way it's put around, you should have someone with a disability in mind. And one of the things that people don't also want to talk about, which is our bodily talk about, that is supermarkets. They always have their pads way up. And if you're someone that is small like me and you walk in, you want to buy your pads. Pads are very personal. You don't share anyone what happens within your pad's life. But you don't expect to go in there. then you start asking a salesperson if it's a guy, and then you say, please, can you pass me the pads? It's a bit embarrassing. If someone is in a wheelchair, it's the same thing. And it's not only people with disabilities, but women that are also disadvantaged in their height. We have women that are short in height. Not because they have a physical disability, but because they're like that. So things like pads, they're way up there. And a woman needs, I don't have to ask John to come and take for me. So there is little things like that that policymakers don't think or consider to be important.
Right, there we have it from Soneni. Thank you very much for joining us.
And thank you so much for inviting me, and I've had fun here.
Next time you should take me for shopping, yeah?
I will absolutely do that.
All right, thank you. You're still watching Thatha Wena. We'll be back soon after these messages.
I don't need someone from the so-called first world to come and tell me how to save a child. I know how to save a child. I don't need someone to tell me how to run a household and how to, help a 12-year-old look after children. I don't need that. I find a lot of the information coming from the so-called first world or West or Europe, whatever, is irrelevant. They don't know Zimbabweans. They don't know how we think. And quite honestly, they really irritate me. Sounds bad, but look, I love people coming to help, and I'll take all the help I can get. But we know how to come up with our own solutions. We're not stupid people.
Talking about Ubuntu, integrity starts with you as an individual. So once you are clean inside and you value something, you begin to value others and you begin to value your environment. Our cities need to be clean, guys. Let's make sure that we bring back the cleanliness in our cities and in the country.
Talking about cleanliness, or rather, what grinds my gears?
Yo, what's up? My name is Tawanda Denga, aka T Wonder. You see, what grinds my gears is the fact that people want to put me in a box. As a Christian rapper, I can talk about anything. In fact, Jesus wants us to talk about everything. Politics, rape, murder, everything. So don't ever grind my gears and tell me what to talk about, because that really grinds my gears.
Join us again, same time, same place, and next week. And you are watching your favorite TV program,
Thatha Wena.